podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
No brakes, no brakes, no fear, no fear. The official British Speedway podcast.
Welcome along to No Brakes, No Fear, this week reflecting on some changes. First of all, in the team lineups, we had a bit of a transfer deadline day situation and Sheffield made some big changes.
It's been a tough few days really, just to try and get our head around what's happened and getting confirmation from Jack that he didn't feel fit enough to commit. What we've done has made us stronger.
Holder Junior out, Holder Senior in at Oleton, and a couple of other tweaks as well. Details with Simon Stead in just a few moments. We'll also reflect on huge news coming out of Monmore, with Wolves announcing they will not be running next year.
We've made this announcement today that unfortunately there'll be no Wolverhampton Speedway in 2024. It's very sad, it's very emotional. I can count on one hand the number of fixtures remaining here now. So the emotion is building.
Find out why all might not be lost, though. Hear from Chris van Straaten shortly. And our main guest this week is Jason Edwards, new recruit to the Sheffield Tigers, also with the Redcar Bears, and lining up as a track reserve at Cardiff at the British Grand Prix on Saturday.
It's always, I wonder how quick the good guys would go around these tracks, and now we have the best in the world, especially in the likes of Emlyn people, and we can see where the benchmark is.
Hear from Jason Edwards in part 2 of the podcast. All this and much more to come on this week's episode of No Brakes, No Fear.
No brakes, no fear. The official British Speedway podcast.
Welcome along once again. A big week of British Speedway action ahead. Some of the fixtures have already taken place, but of course we head to the end of this week with the championship pairs and of course the British Grand Prix taking place at the Principality Stadium in Cardiff. But between now and then, plenty of other domestic fixtures and lots to look back on as well. Not least with a few team changes to tell you about as well. A little bit of a transfer deadline day scenario and quite a few moves around the place, quite often involving riders coming into or going out of Sheffield. And the Sheffield Tigers have confirmed the signing of the 2012 world champion Chris Holder as part of a double deadline day switch. And the Aussie is joined by Dane Klaus Vissing, who helped Swindon to the Premiership title 4 years ago. And the pair replace Adam Ellis and Louis Kerr, with Jack Holder, who's been out injured since the World Cup, not resuming his place and losing his fitness battle at this moment in time. The club owner Damien Bates said Jack's been honest about where he is, and whilst he is close to getting back on the bike, he doesn't want to let Sheffield down should he realise he's not quite 100% race fit. Well, elsewhere that's meant that Louis Kerr has had to find himself a new club, of course, and he's managed to do that on deadline day, and he's moved to the Leicester Lions following his release from Sheffield. Kerr joining the Lions for their final 2 regular matches as they look to cling on to the playoff places. Craig Cook makes way in the side. We will hear in a little while from both Simon Stead and Stuart Dixon after their respective meetings on the Monday night. But right now, we'll start with Bellevue Aces, who slammed Leicester earlier in the day on Bank Holiday Monday, 61-29 to complete their home Sports Insure Premiership programme in devastating form. The Aces are virtually certain now to finish top of the table and achieved the result with 14 of the 15 race winners. Australian star Jamin Lindsay scoring a 12-point maximum. Brady Kurtz with 13 plus 1 bonus. Dan Bewley on 12 were also unbeaten from their first 4 rides before Max Frick finally gave the Lions a consolation win in Heat 15. Meanwhile, the Championship League Riders champion, newly crowned Charles Wright, overcame a broken finger to score 7 plus 3, and he says himself that the Aces are in fine shape right now. We'll hear from Charles Wright on that CLRC win in just a while. First of all, let's hear from the top scorer for the Bellevue Aces on an absolute rampage against the Leicester Lions. And here is Jamin Lindsay with Ryan Guest.
Well, Jamin, first and foremost, it's another dominant home display by the Aces, all but clinching that top of the table spot ahead of the playoffs.
Yeah, well, that was plan A coming into this meeting, get a good score and finish the season on top of the table. But now there's a few weeks break and we'll need to come back strong for the 18th of September and, up our game just a little bit more because it's playoff season, so everything can change.
I was going to say it's going to be 3 weeks without a meeting for the Aces. Some teams that would phase, but I think the way your boys are clicked in round here, it's not phasing you too much.
No, and I think we've booked in for the first one at home too, so it'd be important, to get the first one out of the way at home, after a few weeks off. Most of us are riding elsewhere, but 3 weeks off, but I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, and there is some real spirit in this camp as well, and belief that you can make it back to back.
That's the plan, but as I said, playoffs are a totally different ball game. Everyone's going for the same thing, so it's whoever's going to be good on each night, and hopefully we can be the ones. But there's a lot of work to go to get to that position first.
Yeah, for yourself individually, how much have you enjoyed being back in British Speedway this year?
I think it shows. It's been a very important year in my career to come back here. I've doubled my meetings for my whole season already to now from last year. So it's been very important, and I'm enjoying riding here every Monday. It's a track that how can you not enjoy coming to? Even more so, it's important that you find a good setup too, because if you don't have a good setup here, it's one of the hardest tracks too, because the old shale hurts a bit here. But this year's going good, so I'll take it while it's here and keep going.
Well, the other fixtures that took place on Bank Holiday Monday now, and first of all to Monmore Green, with Wolverhampton sealing their Sports Insure Premiership playoff place with a thumping 55-35 win over Sheffield. Ryan Douglas raced to a 12+3 paid maximum for the Monmore side, and his middle order pairing of Luke Becker paying huge dividends as the American notched 11+1 bonus. The Tigers have still to mathematically clinch their own top four finish, with their team set to undergo changes, as we've heard, before Thursday's meeting. Ty Woofenden top scoring on his old home track with 9+1. Well, let's get some reaction from that fixture. We'll hear from Ryan Douglas in just a moment, but first of all, Simon Stead.
Well, Steady, obviously that was always going to be a pretty tough one against Wolves. I know they've had a lot of close contests here lately, but obviously a couple of issues with the team, and it was always going to be a difficult night.
Yeah, I'm glad that one's over, really. It was a tough night for us, and I'm glad it's finished. So we can look to Thursday now, where obviously it's a really, really important fixture. If we get the 3 points on Thursday, that cements us into the playoffs. So we know the importance of that. What we've done over the course of the two meetings previous to this was give ourselves a little bit of breathing space. So they were huge results for us, because there's always a chance that you're going to have a bit of a hiccup, and tonight was that hiccup. But we'll refocus and come back fighting on Thursday, where we know if we take maximum points, we'll cement ourselves in the playoffs.
100%. There's obviously been a lot of rumours circulating over the past few days as well. Earlier on Monday, the team announced a couple of changes, and Damien Bates in the club statement said that changes weren't ideally wanted from anyone on the management side, but a couple of factors have led to them having to happen on deadline day.
Yeah, that's right. It's been a tough few days, really, just to try and get our head around what's happened, and obviously getting confirmation from Jack that he didn't feel fit enough to commit was also a big factor in what we were doing. So I think what we've done has made us stronger. So we'll gel again as a team. It would be nice to have 7 fit riders and have a 7-man team rather than running RR, because that's particularly difficult, the way that the team's made up. So I'll be glad to have 7 riders, and looking forward to giving them a really warm welcome on Thursday, where like I said, we'll know the importance of.
Yeah, and like I say, I know it's what he's doing now in the present that counts most. But nevertheless, to have another world champion added to the club, it is another coup of a signing, really.
Yeah, and Chris was really good to deal with. up for it from the first phone call and was keen to make it happen. So there was an opportunity there where we felt we could strengthen and give the team a bit of a lift. So it's great to welcome him. I've been navigating Chris Holder in a Sheffield Tigers race jacket for quite a few years. So the fact that we've got that one over the line is brilliant. I'm really excited to see him. I've witnessed him at Allerton in years gone by, and he was phenomenal track record holder at one point. Took it off me, I think. So he can certainly go around the place as fast as anybody. So delighted to get that one over the line, and the same with Klaus. Really, he was really keen. He excited about another shot in the Premiership. So let's hope he takes it with both hands.
Well, Ryan Douglas, in the build-up to tonight's meeting against Sheffield, everyone connected with Wolves was saying you needed a more convincing win, and certainly got that finally here at Monmouth Green.
Yeah, for sure. We all knew that, obviously, and it's been said a few times. So to do it tonight, it's really good. Even with Sam probably not having his best night, he's usually in the front of the team. So it goes to show how strong a team performance it was.
Yeah, a lot of people say about what the heat leaders do, about what the reserves do, but it goes to show when the middle order clicks as well, that is what's capable of.
Yeah, that's it. I find when me and Becky are going well in the middle there, and one of the reserves are going well, where we can beat anyone. So it's not extra pressure, but yeah, that it does rely on that middle order as well.
The way the league table's shaping up as well, it's potential that it could be another Wolverhampton-Sheffield playoff semi-final. I know you can't read too much into a result like that, but that they'll remember that if they do have to come back here again.
No, exactly, and we still got to go there, so that's more practice for us. Another try around there, so it probably works out really good for us if we do go to Sheffield. If if we end up going there, and then probably the playoffs might be the week or so after. Yeah. So, no, I think things are going well. Obviously, they've made a few changes now, so we'll have to see how they settle in. But they're not going to have too much practice on their home track, so things are looking good.
Yeah, you mentioned a couple of changes there from other clubs. I know there's been rumours circulating left, right and centre to do with other teams. That's something you'd never really have to worry about here at Wolverhampton, isn't it?
No, exactly. Yeah, we're a very loyal club here, and it's like a family kind of thing. So, yeah, we can just concentrate on our racing, and if you're not having a great time, they stick with you and try to get you going. So I can't thank Wolverhampton enough for that. Since I've been here, I've never really had my place under pressure, and I think it's helped me just concentrate on my racing and try and improve.
Yeah, you mentioned concentrating on your racing, obviously being in fantastic form on the road. I know you've been a bit frustrated by perhaps some of the inconsistencies here at Monmore, but paid maximum tonight, absolutely unstoppable.
Yeah, it was good. I had not a very good one yesterday. I wanted to do better, obviously, in that individual, and I think the track caught me out a bit and took me a while to get going, and I just missed out in the end. So it was good to come then back here tonight and put in that kind of performance.
Well, before that meeting, there was an announcement in the match programme from Chris van Straaten, the promoter of the Paris International Wolves, and it read as follows: "Time waits for no man, and we have to be realistic, much as personal enthusiasm can easily cloud the facts. With a great deal of emotion, we have to state that there will be no Wolverhampton Speedway in 2024. Our future plans are for a large arena multi-discipline moto park, as we believe that establishing a venue solely for Speedway at the level it is today cannot be effective in any business plan. While we have a site in mind, the bureaucratic world is not renowned for haste, and we have to make our position clear now in order that British Speedway can establish the league structure for next season. We made the announcement in our programme exclusively because we believe that you, our loyal supporters, many who have grown with us during the last 36 years, deserve to hear the news first. Hopefully the famous words of Arnold Schwarzenegger will ring true, but in the meantime, it will be au revoir on 24th of October. So sad news there, but a little hope that work continues to bring Wolverhampton back to the tapes, hopefully in 2025. Well, speaking about that announcement and what it means for the fans, Chris van Straaten had a chat with Abby Stevens on Eurosport on Monday night.
Monmouth Green, the home of Wolverhampton Wolves Speedway for 95 years. I know there's been a season-long battle to try and find a new home for the sport. I believe you've got an update for us.
Yeah, I mean, the hope is still there. We are moving in that direction, but it can't be ready for next year, unfortunately. And so that British Speedway can make its plans, we've made this announcement today that unfortunately there'll be no Wolverhampton Speedway in 2024. It's very sad, it's very emotional. I can count on one hand the number of fixtures remaining here now, so the emotion is building. I've been here like 32 years. That's a hell of a long time. And the supporters have grown with me, and that's the reason we made the announcement in the programme tonight, so they could read it first. And obviously now it will get widespread news and coverage, and we've had a lot of good local coverage, and we've had support from the MPs and everything. So I'm pretty confident that we will be back, if I can use that famous phrase, but it won't be next year.
I mean, it's shocking news, really. It's sad news. And like you say, it's in the programme tonight. The fans that come out here in all weather conditions, it's just so disappointing that it's come down to that, because Wolverhampton is just a part of British Speedway. But like you say, hopefully that's just for 1 year that they're out.
Yes, I'm fingers crossed. You know, we've got the incentive, we've got the progress will be made, hopefully. And we should be back in 25. But it's only fair to let people know now we're not around in 24. British Speedway will carry on without us. We'll be missed, no doubt. But
And in terms of the riders, how have they taken that news?
Well, we've always been loyal to our riders, and a lot of these riders have been with me a long time. And it's very sad for them, of course. But obviously they will find alternative employment, and hopefully, some of them will be in a position to come back and wear the wolf again in future years.
And you see that loyalty, because so many other teams, we've been talking about it in the programme, that there's so many changes, there's so much movement, but there never is in Wolverhampton. You always see the same faces, and that loyalty just creates a really unified front.
Yeah, I hope so. It's the way I am, and you can't change overnight. So, I like to be loyal to the riders as much as I possibly can.
And you've got playoffs to come. You're so nearly there. And what a way to finish this season if you were to go on and win.
Well, yes. Let's hope there's a bit of luck on our side, and at least we staged the final here at Monmouth Green.
Well, that would be a very fitting way for things to round off as well. And I guess if there is anything going in the favour of Chris Van Straaten, and obviously so often we hear that clubs are aiming to be back, but Chris has done this before at Redcar, where the motorsport park is there, and getting the Speedway Club as part of that development. And we can see at Redcar, who hosted the Championship League Riders' Championship last weekend, how successful that whole operation is. Not all of it, of course, is owned by Chris Van Straaten. The motocross park and the other racing there is something separate. But being part of a venue that is motorsport makes things certainly a lot easier when it comes to everybody knowing what the facility's all about. But good luck in getting Wolves back in a venue like that, and having then a long-term future with no threat of redevelopment or being kicked out for whatever reason. Let's get back to the action then on Monday night. Leicester, well, they rode a double-header. They got absolutely smashed against Bellevue earlier in the day, but later on in the day it was a little bit better, because they gave their playoff hopes a boost with a 57-33 victory over Kings Lynn to end a 7-match winless run. The Lions now back in the top 4 of the Sports Insure Premiership, but may still need points on the road next week at Wolverhampton and or possibly Peterborough, depending on how rivals Ipswich fare at Kings Lynn, which will be their final meeting of the league season. Max Frick scored 13 from 5 rides against the Stars, with Richie Worrell chipping in with 11+2. Dan Bewley made a guest appearance, having ridden against Leicester earlier in the day. He racked up 11+1 at the Pidcock Motorcycles Arena. For the visitors, Robert Lambert racked up 16, including 4 wins, and entered Frick's maximum chances with victories in heats 13 and 15, whilst the skipper Simon Lambert, of course no relation, scored 6+1 and took the scalp of Bewley in heat 9. Let's hear from the Leicester boss, Stuart Dixon.
Well, Stuart, that was much more like it from the Watling JCB Lions tonight, keeping your playoff hopes alive.
Yeah, much more like it, as you say, sort of performance we've been needing to do to get the confidence levels up right through the whole team. Everybody contributed, which is good for team manager's point of view. Kings Lynn made us work hard in a few of the races, but we're pleased to get the 3 points, which puts us back in the playoff spots, and that's where we hope to stay.
And lots of aggression from the boys tonight, some tight first corners, but boys battling for all the points.
Yeah, much better to see. Even in the odd occasion where we didn't make the start tonight, we looked very determined to get to the front, going into the bend, which was pleasing. Something that's not happened the last couple of weeks. So, I've got to give credit to the riders for lifting their game. Decent response. I know there'll be tougher opposition, but you can only beat what's in front of you. But I thought we've done well, yeah.
And an important couple of matches next week on the road, Wolverhampton and Peterborough.
Yeah, they certainly are. We now go into the Wolverhampton match with a certain degree of confidence, and I think it plays a hell of a big part in Speedway riders' mentality, the way they think. So we go there, and hopefully the guys that ride in the championship come through their respective meetings, and we go there looking to get something, yeah.
Well, quickly looking back to last week, and Robert Lambert made his sensational return to Kings Lynn as the Stars defeated league leaders Bellevue in a dramatic Heat 15 at the Adrian Flux Arena. Lambert overtook both Brady Kurtz and Dan Bewley in the decider to clinch a 46-44 victory to move the home side off the bottom of the Sports Insure Premiership table. And we can hear from Robert Lambert now, speaking after facing the side, of course, that he won the title with last year.
Well, Robert Lambert, did you think that performance tonight would have the effect that it had? You can see what the fans think, you can see what your team think. It was outstanding.
Yeah, it was definitely a team performance today. Simon done exceptionally well, and all of us had great morale in the team. So that brought everything a little bit closer. And when we at the point of where the meeting where we was leading it, we really had that belief that we can finish it off. I had a great meeting as well. I was a bit nervous coming into the first heat. Haven't ridden on such grippy track in 4 years, so after the first heat I was well away.
I mean, you've only been beaten once. That came in heat 13. Side got itself 2 points up in the last heat, and then you slightly missed a jump in the last heat. And what were you thinking when Brady Kurtz and Dan Bewley got ahead of you?
Well, I wasn't too happy about the start that I made, but I felt like I've got 4 laps to make it happen, and I managed to reel down Brady, and I thought, that's enough. We secured the win, but I had pace in the bike and speed, so I was trying it down, and I managed to get past him, so it was definitely a great result for the team.
I know it's 4 years since you've been here, but this is your spiritual home, isn't it? I'm a Norfolk boy. When that call came, and when you've seen the problems that the club have had this year, was it an easy choice to make?
That wasn't that situation, because we didn't make the playoffs in Sweden, and I had less of a schedule, so I wasn't so busy, and I was able to fill them gaps. I would have only had 3 more meetings to the rest of the season with the Grand Prix, so coming back, at this time, everything fell into place very well.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it, when you're riding abroad and you see your old club have been struggling this year, what was going through your mind?
Yeah, it's definitely sad to see. obviously Buster put a lot of work and effort into to the team, and obviously track and the whole stadium. So it's sad to see, but I think if we finish the season off strong, that will add and keep the ball rolling for next year.
I mean, an interesting local derby coming up next week. The old rivals, Ipswich. That's going to be really exciting, isn't it?
Definitely, it's going to be exciting. They got two good riders. We need to focus on them and make sure we get in front of them. But after tonight beating the league leaders, then I think anything's possible.
You just mentioned next year, like the old television programme. If the price is right and things can fit into it, would you consider coming back?
Unfortunately, I've got a 2-year deal in Sweden, so I've got 1 more year left in that. And I've always said, I'd cancel Sweden, do UK, Poland and Grand Prix, but so next year's pretty secure. Maybe that might change. I still need to speak with the club in Sweden, but 2025 maybe.
It's not altogether 100% out of the question next year. You'll have a chat with the team in Sweden.
Definitely, not out of the question, but we'll see how the ball rolls.
I think Buster might be putting a little bit of nice pressure on you, because I think he was inspired tonight. I just heard his comment, just really ignited his enthusiasm for the sport after tonight.
Yeah, when I see him jumping up and down after that Heat 15 and give me a big hug, I think definitely the spark is lit again, and the fire's burning in his belly. So hopefully we can have a chat. Maybe things will change, but that's 50-50.
And a really night of inspired riding, Robert. Well done tonight, and I think the fans are pleased to see you back. Thank you.
Definitely, and I hope to see some fresh fans back here again.
Okay, some interesting information there from Robert Lambert, and just shows that things are not quite so obvious. It's not a year-to-year basis elsewhere in the world, and due to the nature of his other contracts, he is going to find it difficult to ride here at the start of the season at least, but certainly sounds like he might be swayed if it is all possible. Let's watch this space, see what magic Buster can rustle up. Speaking of which, we had Phil Morris on the podcast last week, and this was at the point where Kings Lynn had let Artem Laguta go, and Phil Morris was saying how Artem had gone straight on the phone to him saying that he wanted to find another club, and how could he go about finding another club? Well, he didn't have to go too far, just a few miles north really, to Peterborough, which is where Artem Laguta will spend the rest of the season. So that's a bit of a coup there for the Peterborough Panthers. Obviously, they've got off-track issues, but for the remaining fixtures, and they do have quite a few left because of the problems they suffered being able to get their meetings on for one reason or another earlier in the season. They've still got, I think, 4 or 5 meetings left, depending on when you're listening to this, because they've got a couple in the next 5 days or so, the week we're recording it, and they're going to come fairly thick and fast. So all home meetings left as well, so he doesn't have to go on the road, Laguta. All home track. Let's see how things pan out there. Okay, then, let's just round this section of the podcast up then by taking a look at how the league table currently sits in the Sports Insure Premiership League, because there's a lot going on, not so much at the top of the table, but certainly for those playoff places, there's things yet to be decided. At the top, we're fairly sure that barring some kind of freak situation, that the Bellevue Aces will finish at the top of the table. And they're currently on 24 meetings ridden. And, of course, they are done as a result. 44 points. They can do no more, but it's all about the other teams behind them. The Wolverhampton Wolves on 21 points and 21 meetings ridden, I should say, and 35 points. The Sheffield Tigers currently third, 21 meetings ridden and 32 points. Leicester Lions in fourth currently. They've ridden 22 meetings, so they've got 2 left, and they're on 32 points, joint with Sheffield. The spoiler potentially could still come from the Ipswich Witches. They've got 1 meeting left. It's against Kings Lynn at the Adrian Flux Arena. And if they get all the points there, including the aggregate bonus, then they can finish on 34 points, which would leave either Sheffield or Leicester with a little bit of work to do. So it's still not all cut and dried for that final place just yet. The Kings Lynn Stars and the Peterborough Panthers in 6th and 7th. Currently Kings Lynn in 6th, Peterborough 7th. And there's just a point between them at this moment in time. So that's how things are looking in the Sports Insure Premiership League. And looking ahead to the fixtures that are coming up as we go through this week. Of course, it is a big week ahead in British Speedway, with lots coming up, of course, at the weekend. We'll touch on that more very soon. But on Thursday, it's Peterborough versus Wolves, and that's level on aggregate as well. Sheffield versus Kings Lynn at Oleton. Then looking ahead to Monday, it's Kings Lynn versus Ipswich, Peterborough versus Sheffield, and Wolves versus Leicester. There is one other thing to mention from the results on Monday night, and that was as regards the final leg of the other semi-final in the Premiership Knockout Cup, which has been long outstanding between Ipswich and Peterborough, and it's Ipswich who are through. They restricted Peterborough to a 48-42 win in the second leg at the East of England Arena. The Witches were 24 points ahead, and so it'll be Ipswich versus Sheffield. The exact dates are yet to be confirmed, but it's going to be happening in the middle of September sometime, and it'll be home and away in the same week is the plan. And we'll have those dates as soon as they're confirmed with the clubs. Okay, we'll take a short break, and then in the next part of No Breaks, No Fear, we're going to have a good chat with Jason Edwards. He loves a good chat. I have many long chats with Jason Edwards, sometimes at meetings here, there and everywhere. And he's never been on the podcast before. So Jason Edwards, who not only races for the Sheffield Tigers, and the Redcar Bears, but he is going to be one of the track reserves at Cardiff for the British Grand Prix this weekend. So big week ahead for Jason Edwards, and he's next on No Brakes, No Fear.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote.com. That's SelectQuote.com.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
No Brakes, No Fear. The official British Speedway podcast.
Welcome to No Brakes, No Fear, the official British Speedway podcast. And our guest this week is a rider who's got a very big week ahead, actually, when you consider what's going to be happening at the weekend. But always a pleasure to chat to. I've got to say a big warm welcome to Jason Edwards of the Sheffield Tigers and the Redcar Bears. How are you doing, Jason? Because this is quite a big week for you. Tell us about your week so far and your preparations heading into the weekend, because if people aren't aware, you're one of the track reserves at Cardiff. Now, you may not get a ride, but you're still going to be soaking up the atmosphere, and if you do get the call, as happened last year, Leon Flint found himself in that first ride up against Bartosz Szmarszlik, you can certainly go in at the deep end, can't you?
Well, that's kind of been the weird thing with this kind of 3-week period coming up, because I went from, having a 3-week break to suddenly last week ride nearly every day of the week, and then obviously Neil rang up to say about the Cardiff opportunity, and then the Sheffield thing come out, and do you know what I mean, it's all a bit manic really, but like I say, I'd prefer it that way round than sitting around doing proper work every day.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, going back to the start of this season, then you began life in the Premiership with the Kings Lynn Stars, and you were one of the riders that's given way. I mean, many riders have given way in that original lineup. Really, at Kings Lynn, it's been quite a crazy year, really, one thing and another, with everybody changing pretty much, I think, throughout the course of the season. You had a really quiet period, didn't you? And you must have been sort of wondering what the future might hold at that point.
Yeah, I think the only one left is obviously Michael. And Buster and Dale. I think other than that, the whole team's completely swapped over through everything, through injuries and whatnot. But no, like I say, it's been weird because I went from last year having obviously 3 leagues, riding every day of the week and being absolutely flat out and wearing myself out, to then kind of once I got dropped from Kings Lynn, nothing. Do you know what I mean? And I didn't realise how bad it is when you just do the 1 league. I know Simon Lambert said it to me before, how hard it is just to try and get rides and whatnot, but you know, when you're not in that position, you don't really realise. So, yeah, like I say, I wouldn't swap how it is now for how it was before. But yeah, it was a tough time. Obviously, I struggled in the top league with Kings Lynn this year for whatever reason. And yeah, like I say, I've just got to take the opportunity. I had a good meeting on Saturday for Leicester at Leicester for Sheffield, and no, hopefully it's all on the way up.
In that time, though, you obviously have a lot of time for you to sort of think through what might have gone wrong or led to that situation coming up with being let go by Kings Lynn. And surely then when the opportunities come up, and that is, obviously injuries are a natural part of Speedway, unfortunately, but there are going to be opportunities through the course of the season. You must have held faith with that. And then when the call comes from Sheffield, that's as good an opportunity as you could possibly hope for, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the same attitude I've got with guest bookings and whatnot. If anyone ever rings me up for a guest booking, I'm never going to say no to it. Just purely, I got 6 months of the year to try and ride as much as I can. The other 6 months, you can get everything else ready and live a normal life, but it's that 6-month window that you've got to make the most of it. And yeah, like I say, for whatever reason, it didn't quite work out at Kings Lynn, and I think a lot of people struggled this year at Kings Lynn. But like I say, as soon as the whole Sheffield... saying that, going back 1 week, obviously I kind of thought I was going to be at Ipswich for the rest of the year. Obviously, Dan dislocated his shoulder and whatnot, and the opportunity came up there. And then I had both Richie and Steady on the phone So I kind of had to make a decision on where I wanted to go. And for me, the whole decision was, do I want 9+ meetings or 4 and potentially playoffs? But Ipswich didn't look likely at that point. So, like I say, from the team atmosphere at Leicester and everything, having Ty in the team and whatnot, it's a real good team atmosphere and whatnot. So hopefully, especially with the new signings and whatnot, it can really end on a high.
Well, that's it, yeah, because I saw you last week at Ipswich. You were guesting for Ipswich then, and that was just before that news broke. And I know that Richie Hawkins was saying, he was really pleased to have you in the side. So you've let him down gently there, but you've got this opportunity with Steady now, though.
Like I say, probably on Thursday night, I was pretty sure I was going to be riding for Ipswich for the rest of the year, or until obviously Dan came back from his injury. So that's kind of the way I was going, and to be honest, I was just quite happy to try and nick as much information off Emil and Doyle as I possibly could. But like I say, things in Speedway changed so quick. Like I say, originally, a week ago, I was having 3 weeks off, and now next minute I'm riding nearly every day. So, you can't keep up sometimes, and we all try and plan as much as we can, but sometimes we just can't.
Yeah, it's it is either of those teams though. Great opportunities, of course. You've got as you say, you've Doyley and Emil alongside you in the side, and then you've got Woofy, and now Chris Holder joining Sheffield as well, along with Klaus Vissing coming into the side. So, wherever you look in those teams now, and this is the difference, I think, this year in the Premiership, isn't it? The level of rider that we've got in those heat leader positions now at all of the clubs, even the clubs that are done, like, Kings Lynn and Peterborough have still got Arsene Laguta and Robert Lambert in the side. We've got Woofy and Chris Holder in the Sheffield side now, and this is it's a decent looking lineup, and these are riders that you would have grown up with.
Yeah, so take Chris Holder for instance. He won the World Championship the year before I started riding, because Martin Hagen started up an academy at Lakeside, and on all his little leaflets it was the photo of Chris Holder winning the World Championship, and it was like, this is where you could be one day type thing. But yeah, like I say, who'd have thought all those riders would be back in the UK this year? And there's no doubt about it, just having people like Emil in the league. Like, I know just from a rider's point of view, it's always, I wonder how quick the good guys would go around these tracks. And now we have the best in the world, especially in the likes of Emil and people, and we can see where the benchmark is. Do you know what I mean? We're not a million miles off, but they're still a hell of a lot better than what we are at the moment. So it's nice to see, like I say, what the benchmark is, and seeing how they achieve that and where we can get to.
Yeah, and now, of course, lining up as this track reserve, and people will say, yeah, well, you might not get a ride, and that's true, but many of them do get a ride. Historically, of course, you'll come into play if the tapes get broken or if someone has to withdraw through injury, and sometimes they can withdraw before the event as well, as we saw last year. So you've still got to be prepared to go out there and do battle. Of course, nobody will have any expectation or pressure on you, but it's firstly, it's great experience for you, but it's also great exposure for you as well, isn't it? Even if you don't ride, you're still on that race card, and there's lots to soak up in those pits.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much the crowd likes it, but all I can hope for is everyone to keep breaking the tapes. That was one of the coolest things last year. Obviously, I got the privilege to do the under-20 SGP 2. Obviously, I got to experience the whole atmosphere of it all, and you go from, like I say, I've probably been to Cardiff ever since I was like 3 or 4, and you go from being in the stadium with all the air horns and everything, and then you went in the pits and it's silent. Just little silly things like that, but it all takes you by surprise. And like I say, if I can get a couple of rides, that would be absolutely a dream come true for me. But just to get to ride the track again, like, how many people can get to say they rode the track or even took part in the British Grand Prix? So like I say, just what an opportunity it is. And obviously, even like the whole thing being a discovery, it's a big thing for like all my sponsors and stuff to be on that, and it's just a great opportunity all round.
Yeah, as I say, there's surely can be nothing bad on that front come from it, and what a great day it's going to be as well. You must have plenty of experience of being a fan though in the stands and watching on or watching on TV over the years, because the British Grand Prix has been around longer than you have, I think, just about.
Yeah, was it 2000 or 2001 was the first one at Cardiff?
Yeah, and you came on, what, 2002?
2002. So, yeah, like I say, the biggest thing, not even just Cardiff, Speedway in general, I am still a fan of the sport before a rider of the sport. Do you know what I mean? And I still want Speedway to succeed in everything it does. Like, I still go and watch a meeting. Do you know what I mean? I still go to Milton and watch a meeting, or if I wasn't doing it, sometimes go up to Ipswich or something. So, like I say, I'm still a fan before anything else, and yeah, just to love to be a part of it. And that's probably the cool thing, even just being part of the GP, getting to look at some of the good guys' bikes, seeing what they're doing different and everything else, and just pick out little bits and whatever you can.
And who is your idol really nowadays? Who do you look at for inspiration? Because of course, you're a very good speedway rider yourself, but you must have further aspirations and looking at ways to improve your overall game, if you like. So who do you take inspiration from?
Well, to be honest, this year the biggest thing has been watching Emil, and that was, like I say, the coolest thing about being in the team for those two meetings. Was just getting to be around him. Like, he's got quite a few superstitions and whatnot, but just watching him on the track, I mean, literally you could ask anyone in the British League, like me and Richie Worrell were talking about the other night in the changing rooms, he's just the next level. Like, you can put him on any track or anything. It might take him that first heat to get the track sorted, where he'll probably get a second, and then he'll max out for the rest of the night. But like I say, that to me, to be honest, is the biggest thing. And even watching him in Poland this year, he seems to just, like, at Torren on Sunday, he went out and reeled off 6 wins. Do you know what I mean? So at the moment, I do think he is the one to watch, and just picking out as much as you can off of him.
Yeah, he rides the bike, differently to everyone else, doesn't he? And you find with these top riders as well that is the difference, isn't it? That obviously the equipment after a point becomes very much the same. It's the style, and with Emil, you notice as he rides these circuits, he never really straightens up, does he? Even when it's long straights, everything's just so rounded. The way that he goes round, it's all very smooth. No sort of heavy moves or anything like that, and just keeps that bike going as fast as possible. And I guess similar for Bartos as well.
Yeah, like I say, I don't know what's the problem is we can only ever go, I wonder what Smarsh it would be like on British tracks, but we can see what Emil is now. Do you know what I mean? And like, Emil makes everyone look stupid, completely stupid. And it was funny the other night on the BSM meeting with Richie when Emil came under him and knocked him off, and Richie was just like, well, he's going to knock me off, he's going double the speed.
Yeah, it's good, but it's good, for you guys, for all riders. I think everybody looks up to riders like that and sees what they're doing in their game. So now you're with the Sheffield Tigers then. Obviously, your career with them is sort of relatively short at this moment in time. It was a tricky night at Wolves in front of the TV cameras, but hopefully now Sheffield's closing in from their point of view on the playoffs, and it's looking like more of a battle between Leicester and Ipswich for that final place, isn't it?
Yeah, and like I say, that was one of the big things on me riding for Sheffield, was the amount of meetings I could potentially have. Obviously, Ipswich at the moment is an absolutely brilliant team, but then the same with Sheffield. So, like I say, it didn't really matter what team I went with. The only other positive is obviously getting to ride Sheffield every week. It's a big, fast track, and it's not a bad track to learn how to go fast. So, like I say, obviously it all went well at Leicester when we won on Saturday, but we had a tougher night on Monday. But it's nice to kind of look now, and obviously we've got September, October to go, and the next 2 months looks really busy. So that's a lot nicer than kind of looking at your fixtures at the end of August thinking, all right, we're kind of done now. So, like I say, we've got to make the most of these next 2 months. Hopefully the weather's good, how we always have our fingers crossed. But even from like a Redcar point of view, we've still got knockout cups to come, playoffs to come, and everything else. So, like I say, we want to just try and win as much as we can.
Yeah, that's the aim of the game, and let's talk about Redcar, because you have been with them throughout the season. That must feel a little bit like home for you now, in a way. It's always a bit of a friendly place to go. Redcar's always got a nice atmosphere, and you seem to be enjoying life there.
Yeah, just a home that's miles away.
Yeah, I know. It's not. I mean, it's sort of a straight line from Billericay straight up, but you just got 300 miles or so, is it?
Yeah, that is the nice thing with Redcar. It isn't. You don't end up going on some detour somewhere. You do just go and sit on the road, and just takes you all the way up there. But no, I can't fault Redcar in any way whatsoever. Obviously, my first year was last year, and this is my second year there. But just generally everything about the club. I know when Gavin's been on the podcast before, he said everyone's a volunteer and everything's for the club, and that is the whole atmosphere. Everyone tries to put as much effort as they can. And it's just nice when we kind of get results to kind of show for that as well, because it kind of is a thank you to everyone that puts the effort in. I don't know if that Championship League Riders was at any other track, but whether that would have been able to take the water that Redcar did, that was a testament in itself. So, yeah, like I say, I've loved my time at Redcar. I just got to go a bit quicker, and then we'll be a bit happier.
There's certainly plenty of dirt on the track, and you say the work they did. Well, the track covers, first of all, they invested in those, and those track covers earned their keep in a massive way to get that meeting on. Because if anybody saw the video of the rain that came down in that afternoon, it was absolutely torrential. It was, I think, 14 millimetres of rain. When you consider that 2 or 3 millimetres would normally be enough to get a meeting off, then you can see the scale of the work they did there to get that on. And they've not been used to too much over the season, but having that kind of facility there is certainly a great backup, combined with the track staff too.
Yeah, Newcastle Speedway saved the day again, didn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
But yeah, like I say, it goes to all tracks, to be honest. I don't think like the public and everyone realise how many hours like the track curators spend. Like Johnny will be the first one there and the last one there every single day nearly. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's a testament up and down the country, because like we as riders obviously spend hours working on the bikes, travelling up and down, and obviously doing the riding. But I mean, the track curators do just as good of a job. Do you know what I mean? And without them, we wouldn't have any tracks to race on.
Yeah, it was a great effort, and he was also assisted by the track staff, some of the track staff from Glasgow as well, to give them their due, because they came down to help out, and between them, they got the meeting on, and a good race circuit. And did you watch on? It's your team captain won the day on his home track.
Yeah, I watched it delayed, but yeah, Charles is brilliant, isn't he? I didn't know who had it, to be honest, whether Danny or Charles. Charles was obviously very lucky in that final to get back in. But no, again, like I say, it started off a little bit wet, a little bit dry in places. But again, it was, I don't know what the race was. It was the one with Dougie and Louis, Rory, and I don't know the other one.
It was Heat 17.
Yeah, they were all four oppressed for nearly 2, and everyone led. Do you know what I mean? What other track do you get that? You probably get it at Bellevue, maybe at Glasgow, but other than that, I mean, that's a testament, isn't it? And like that's your advert for British Speedway.
It was a nightmare to commentate on. I lost track of who was where, and I couldn't actually see the track because there was people stood in front of us. So I was using the TV footage, and just at the angle we're at, I couldn't make out whether it was white or yellow, and I just had to plump for one, and I got the wrong one. But it was it was such a close run thing, and fantastic racing. And as the night went on, the track got better and better, and obviously it was unfortunate what happened with Richard Lawson, which sort of ruled him out really of the. I mean, he took his place in the rerun, but he took a knock to his ankle, I think, and pulled some ligaments, so it wasn't ideal. But still got through to a 4-rider final in the end, and that was the reasoning, I think, from the referee. The referee said, look, you could maybe exclude someone, but then people would complain about that, saying, well, it should have been all 4 back, it's a final. So he put all 4 back in the final and let nature take its course.
Yeah, and like I say, to be honest, it was probably a bit like a British final round 2, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I know Richard goes on about it minus Dan Bewley. That was kind of what it was, and it just, like I say, it shows what a brilliant racetrack Redcar is, but it shows what depth the championship's got as well. When you look at the riders in the field, obviously it was most of the teams 1s and 5s, but it shows how good of a league and a product the championship is as well. So, like I say, I thoroughly enjoyed watching the meeting.
Yeah, it was good stuff. And so, what's in store for you over the next year then? Because you've been involved in the under-21 scene a little bit, haven't you? So, are you now on the cusp of sort of departing that part of British Speedway life?
Yeah. So, because my birthday's in September, it's before then the cut-off date, so I'll be 21 next year, but because of that, yeah, proper Speedway now from now on. Do you know what I mean? But like I say, it's been, to be honest, the amount of opportunities, especially the way Neil works hard for everyone to get the opportunities that we do. We've done loads of meetings abroad, from 250s to 500s and everything. So, like I say, it's been absolutely brilliant. But now it's just pull your finger out and get a bit quicker.
Yeah. And what's your aim then? Have you got a little plan over the coming years, or you just, obviously it's not all in your hands, but what's your aim? Are you looking to ride more in Europe and get involved in that sort of scene, or concentrating on British Speedway? What's the plan?
So the last 2 years I've taken part in the under-24 league in Poland.
Mm-hmm.
So that was obviously a brilliant opportunity to get to do that for the last 2 years, just to get to ride some of the tracks and everything. And the biggest thing for me doing that was I've kind of gone to Berwick and thought, it's not that big. Do you know what I mean? And you get used, you get used to the size of the straights and everything else. And like I say, I think that's the biggest thing. I think it has definitely improved my riding doing it and whatnot on those bigger tracks. And but no, for me, who knows what's happening next year? Whether they're going to have a rising star in the top league next year and whatnot. But no, I just want to try and double up and, like I say, get as far as I possibly can. We've got all the opportunities in the world riding in the UK at the moment, so it's kind of just more take it by both hands and take it where we can. But like we said earlier, the riders they've got in the top league, we get the opportunity to race them and the attempt to try and beat some of them. So like I say, that is what we've got, and we just got to grow it with both hands.
No, good on you, and always a pleasure to chat with you, Jason, and have a good rest of your season. And first of all, though, good luck for Saturday, should you be called into action. You're going to at least be out there enjoying the national anthem and all that as well, aren't you? So beforehand, so that's going to be quite an experience, whatever happens. And then take your opportunity if it comes along and show everybody what you can do.
Yeah, like I say, I get practice and qualifying, so for me that's, I get to ride Cardiff again, which is absolutely an unreal experience. So, but yeah, it'll be quite interesting. Like, what an awesome experience to get to walk out in front of all the crowd and everything. And yeah, I'm definitely not going to forget it. That's for sure.
And hopefully the Cardiff track might be a little bit easier than last year, so it should be a bit more of a pleasurable experience. Hopefully. Yeah,
like I know for tomorrow they've got their track test and whatnot. So for Wednesday, so obviously if there's any issues that will come up tomorrow, and then it's just all for us to give it a go on Friday. So no, like I say, I'm really looking forward to it.
Good stuff. Well, look, thanks a lot, Jason. And just to remind everybody once again, any promoters that are listening, you are available for guest bookings.
Yeah. I think most of the teams have got my number because I've probably guested from at some point.
Is there any team you haven't raced for in British Speedway? Because you were the busiest rider of the year last year, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if Chris Harris or Richard probably outdone me. And I know maybe Tom done a hell of a lot, but I think it's just Glasgow I haven't guested for. I'm pretty sure. Okay, well, Peter Fasena does listen to this, I think, so yeah. There you go. Yeah, but who knows what's going to happen.
Let's make the magic happen, Peter. Give him the full set. Good stuff. Look, thanks a lot, Jason Edwards, and see you on Saturday or somewhere around British Speedway soon, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. Thank you for that, Ian. And we'll see you all at the track soon.
Jason Edwards of the Sheffield Tigers and the Redcar Bears, and he'll also be making an appearance potentially on the track as well as track reserve, one of the track reserves, along with Anders Rowe at the British Speedway Grand Prix at the Principality Stadium in Cardiff this coming Saturday. In the next part of No Brakes, No Fear, we'll have a bit of a roundup of the Cab Direct Championship, including the Championship League Riders' Championship, which took place at Redcar. Charles Wright won it, but it wasn't without incident and talking points. We'll bring you an update on that and look ahead to what's coming up in the week ahead in the next part of No Brakes, No Fear.
No Brakes, No Fear, the official British Speedway podcast.
OK, into the final part then, and looking primarily at the Championship, Redcar captain Charles Wright won the Championship League Riders Championship in a thrilling final at the Echo Arena on Teesside. Wright came out on top in a three-way battle with Glasgow's Chris Harris and Ben Cook of the Poole Pirates, with Cook having led the scorers heading into the closing stages. Another Bears rider, Danny King, was fourth in a meeting which provided some excellent racing after superb work by the track staff to get the event on following afternoon rain, utilising track covers to protect the surface, and the track itself delivered in many spades after that. Let's hear from the victorious Charles Wright then, speaking to Ryan Guest.
Yeah, like I said, I made a brilliant first corner and managed to cut back, and I had one chance to dive under bomber, and I took full advantage of it, of this track knowledge, and it paid off. And especially I had last choice in 15, so I'll take that.
Yeah, you've got to give full credit to the track staff here as well. We know they work tirelessly every week, but for the big occasion, they got the track covers down, and they probably saved this meeting here today. Yeah, like, Johnny and the track staff here, they're brilliant every week. They provide a brilliant racetrack every single week, and with the rain we had, I didn't think it would be on today, and it turned out a brilliant racetrack. Like you say, it took you a couple of races to obviously get used to it as well and get dialed in, but once you did, you knew you could pull this off here. Yeah, I had a few clutch problems, burning plates out early on, and a lack of power in my bike, and I changed a few things, and luckily it come good at the vital time. Obviously you won the championship pairs for Redcar last year, but what does it mean to claim individual success on home track in front of the home supporters? Yeah, obviously with a team it's great, but on a personal level it's even better, and winning the British final in 19, now winning this that I've never won, and winning the pairs, it's just a great success for myself personally, and I'm made up. Certainly is. Congratulations, Charles, 2023 Championship League Riders Champion. Thank you.
Well, the next major event in British Speedway takes place this Friday at Oxford Stadium. The Championship Pairs, the traditional event the night before the Speedway Grand Prix in Cardiff, returns once again. And Charles Wright and Danny King, who both contested the final of the League Riders Championship, will be riding together for Redcar as they look to defend their title, which they earned last year when Charles Wright teamed up with Louis Kerr. So the teams look like this. Charles Wright and Danny King together for Redcar. The Oxford side will feature Louis Kerr. This time he'll be teaming up with Sam Masters. Elsewhere, Glasgow are represented by Chris Harris and Benjamin Basso. Poole with Richard Lawson and Ben Cook, although Richard Lawson did sustain some injury at Redcar in the CLRC on Sunday, so we'll leave a question mark potentially there. Edinburgh represented by Craig Cook and Josh Pickering. Birmingham with Troy Batchelor and Justin Sedgman. Berwick with Leon Flint and Jai Etheridge. Scunthorpe will field Ryan Douglas and Jake Allen. And Plymouth represented by Kyle Howarth and Richie Worrell. So those are the lineups for the Championship Pairs. 7:30 the start time at Oxford for that one, and if you can make it part of your Cardiff weekend and call in there on the way, you're sure to enjoy a great evening of racing. If not, then the event will be streamed live on BSN, British Speedway Network, so we'll look out for details there. OK, to round things up then, we'll take a look at what's been going on elsewhere through the Championship, because it has been a fairly busy week with one thing and another. We've already talked about the Championship League Riders Championship. Just going through each side one by one, the Poole Pirates, promoter Dan Ford, he's urging his side to avoid any slip-ups when they host Birmingham on Wednesday. The Pirates firmly in the race for top spot, and the right to pick playoff opponents, of course. There'll be 2 groups of 3 teams, and the top team picks their 2 opponents, and the other group are made up of the rest. Oxford seemingly their biggest threat for that at this moment in time. The Scunthorpe Scorpions heading into the business end of the season in great shape with 2 big wins over the last week. The Scorpions won 55-35 at Birmingham for their club record away victory at this level, and then pulled off an impressive 54-36 home victory over Glasgow. Berwick Bandits have confirmed they will be back at the tape hopes at senior level in 2024. That's despite the most trying of seasons this year with one thing and another. Co-owner Jamie Courtney released a statement saying 2023 has provided us with our most challenging season on track, but we're ready to regroup, rebuild, recharge and go again. However, they have announced that the Berwick Bullets, the National League side, will be ceasing at the end of this year. Youngster Ashton Bowden won his first race for Oxford at Cab Direct Championship level in their big win over Plymouth last Friday. Bowden signed for the Cheetahs on his 16th birthday, and he could yet have a big part to play in their upcoming playoff battle. Meanwhile, talking about the playoffs, Glasgow boss Cammy Brown is adamant his side's going to regroup for the playoffs after a tough night at Scunthorpe. The Tigers were beaten heavily at the Eddie Wright Raceway and have a major incoming rider in time for the resumption next month through Vadim Tarasenko. What a signing that is for the championship, and Glasgow looking a strong force as they head into, as they say, the crucial matches in the playoffs. Edinburgh Monarchs are going to race 3 home meetings in the spell of around 48 hours next week in a bid to secure a playoff place. The Monarchs host Poole on Wednesday, September the 6th, and then Plymouth and Birmingham in a back-to-back double-header 2 nights later following a spate of recent call-offs. So they've got to make up some time there, and they're doing all they can. And the Birmingham CEO Nigel Tolley was an angry man after a 55-35 home defeat to Scunthorpe did major damage to the Brummies' playoff hopes. Nigel Tolley says we accept that the track may have acted as a catalyst for those opening 4 races, and we know we got it wrong from the off on that front, but it's the same for both sides, and Scunthorpe attacked it better than we did. Looking at the week ahead then, Poole and Oxford battling it out for the top 2 with the Pirates at home to Birmingham on Wednesday, whilst the Cheetahs have no league fixture until Tuesday. At the other end of the table, Plymouth take on 6th place Edinburgh this Tuesday. Elsewhere, at the other end of the table, Plymouth faced Edinburgh on Tuesday, and Edinburgh were victorious. It was a last heat decider, but the points going to the Monarchs. Elsewhere, after Charles Wright's CLRC success at Redcar, the Bears defending the championship pairs at Oxford, as I mentioned just before. Charles Wright teaming up with Danny King. Louis Kerr is also going to be representing the home side this year, the Oxford Cheetahs. 7:30 the start time there. Quick look at what's ahead in the full fixture picture then, and then Wednesday is just the one match in the Cab Direct Championship. Poole versus Birmingham, 7:30 the start time. Poole already in the lead with the aggregate bonus there. Thursday, August 31st, Peterborough versus Wolverhampton. That's all square on aggregate, actually, because we went to a superheat last time. That fixture will be live on BSN, by the way. 7:30 the start time. Sheffield versus Kings Lynn. And then on Friday, it's the championship pairs at Oxford, 7:30 as we move into September. Saturday, the FIM British Grand Prix at the Principality Stadium in Cardiff, 5 p.m. the start time there. It will be prompt. The 2 minutes will be going on straight just after 5, I think. So certainly by 5:05 we'll be in business. And then no fixtures on Sunday as everybody comes to their senses and gets back to grips with life, no doubt, after an evening in walkabout. There is an event on Sunday, actually, if you are interested and you're able to attend. There's a charity cricket match in memory of Nigel Pearson, and that's at Wombourne Cricket Club on Sunday. There's a lot of Speedway people going to that. Certainly, I think Kelvin Tatum's involved. There's various riders going to be appearing from past and present as well. So if you can get to Wombourne Village Cricket Club, it's right in the middle of Wombourne. You cannot miss it. Find Wombourne, you found the cricket club. And there'll be lots of Speedway company there if you're in the area and heading back through the Midlands after the Grand Prix. Do support that, raising money for a memorial bench for Nigel. And some of the money as well is going to go to the Speedway Riders Benevolent Fund. Next Monday, Sports Insure Premiership, Kings Lynn versus Ipswich, Peterborough versus Sheffield, and Wolverhampton versus Leicester. Certainly Peterborough versus Sheffield will be live on BSN. And then next Tuesday, Oxford versus Scunthorpe, Plymouth versus Berwick, which will also be live streamed on BSN as well. That's a 7 o'clock start time at Plymouth. So there you go. That rounds things up for this week, I think. We'll be back next week to review it all and see what this week ahead brings. We'll be reviewing the Grand Prix, of course, but also the pairs and the various twists and turns in the playoff picture in both the Sports Insure Premiership and the Cab Direct Championship. Have a great week in Speedway. Safe journey to Cardiff if you go and enjoy the weekend. The track is already down. They're having test events on it, probably at the time that you're listening to this. And it's all shaping up nice for a great weekend of Speedway. Here's to a good one. And we're back next week to talk all about it here on No Brakes, No Fear. And by the way, another podcast, if you want to build up to Cardiff, Kelvin Tatum has his own podcast. It's called Tatum Talks, and a special interview with Kelvin, not only building up to Cardiff in general, but also talking to Steve Worrell, who is our wild card, and good luck to Stevie as well. Big event, and he's going to have a lot of support, I'm sure, on Saturday evening. So enjoy that as well. Look out for that. Tatum Talks, the podcast, to hear Kelvin chatting to Stevie Worrell, and we'll see you next week. Ta-ra!
No Brakes, No Fear. The official British Speedway podcast.
Sports Social Podcast Network.